After a blunder of an episode for last week's Star Trek Picard, with some small redeeming features, does this final episode redeem the second season? Time has been fractured, this season ultimately as well, but I definitely believe that this final act has redeemed this season. But why? Let's take a look at the final to Season 2 of Star Trek Picard, titled Farewell. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's get straight into the details. This episode was written by Christopher Monfetti and Akiva Goldsman, one being the writing partner of Terry Matalas and the other being the co-shunner with Matalas himself. The episode was directed by Michael Weaver, who also directed a previous episode as well. But like always, before we do dive into today's video, if you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. As always, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if you are talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. Especially this episode, like damn, it was good. Okay, let's engage. First off, let's talk about time, the bane of every writer and everyone trying to understand what is actually happening. Tala makes it a mission to sacrifice herself in order to fulfill the prophecy. I think this was a really cool way to do this. Tala finally got to see Renee and say how much she meant to her and sacrifice herself to save Renee's life. These scenes made me hate Soong even more than I previously did. He's just a dick in every possible way. Picard comforting Tala in her final moments and Tala telling Picard to accept his own life and move forward, and to tell the people he loves that he loves them, was really touching. Tala even gets to see the Europa mission launch off. And talking about the Europa mission, it's nice how we link how important the Europa mission is and why it destroys Soong's legacy. The Europa mission finds an organism on Io and brings it back, and then the plant-loving kid, Ricardo, uses said organism from his Auntie Renee to help heal the oceans. Maybe the organism eats plastics and cools the oceans in the process. Who knows? Can we find one out back? Now, if the Europa mission never actually happened, this organism wasn't ever found. The world would turn to Dr. Soong, who has a brilliant idea of using his drone technology to create a field around the Earth, which possibly lets out heat or decreases the amount of heat that enters the Earth's atmosphere. It is also interesting that one of these methods is healing, and another is just living with the pain. Two choices that lead to two different futures, just like Picard with his trauma. See, there is a deeper message. So now that Soong dealt with without his legacy from Corey, or from the Confederation future, Soong has to find his legacy in another way. And it seems like he has found it, as he picks up a confidential file tucked in his drawer called Project Khan. It definitely seems that they are moving the eugenics wars from previously believed in the 1990s to the 21st century. Though I am kind of confused with this Project Khan being dated in 1996, when it was previously said the eugenics war happened. Perhaps this was a project done after the eugenics war, maybe making eugenic embryos from Khan, learning from Khan and the eugenics war, and leading to the embryos we see in Star Trek Enterprise. That'll be some cool connection. If it does mean the eugenics war has moved, I'm okay with this. The eugenics wars and World War III were previously a nebulous period in Star Trek history, and we've had more time travel episodes going to 20th and 21st century Earth in Voyager, Deep Space Nine and Enterprise. It makes a lot more of sense to have them move together, as none of these have mentioned a eugenics war happening, and look just like modern day, including unfortunately Deep Space Nine's past tense, which were meant to be a warning to the future anyway. So, The Traveller. We had a feeling this was coming, considering the soundtrack for Season 3 released a little while ago with a track titled The Traveller, but we get to see it on screen and it is great. The return of Wesley Crusher. Now, even though he doesn't interact with Picard or anyone, his interaction with Corey was super sweet. What is interesting is that we find out that the Travelers are actually the ones who distribute the supervisors across the galaxy, which does make sense, as to protect the destiny of the galaxy, the people dispatching the supervisors must have some time travel ability. So in a sense, we did get some form of time police. Part of me can die happy now. There isn't much else to say with this scene, other than it's nice to see Will back as Wesley, or the Traveller now, and I wonder if we'll see him in Season 3. Obviously he wasn't included in the announcement with the rest of the Next Generation cast, but perhaps this is why. Though I do have to question why they beamed up. Maybe Wesley just likes to have a ship and moves about like that, instead of just himself. Could be really cool. So Picard placing the skeletal key back behind the wall shows that Picard is now accepting what happened to his mother, which is sad but nice. He's finally moving on and not being stuck in the past. He may have saved so many people with his guilt behind him, but now he has to save himself, and he has. The Q content of the episode was superb and tied together so much from Q this season. All he wanted was Picard to finally accept what had happened and move on with his life. A final gift to his friend, and we even get to see just how much Picard means to Q, saying, even gods have their favourites. In the scene before Q sends our gang back to the future, Picard even embraces old friend Q in a hug, which is just so sweet, and there may have been some manly tears shed. They may have started their season angry at one another, but in the end they find acceptance and companionship between one another. I think this says a lot about Q as a character. It was really touching to have this heartfelt goodbye with Q. But is this really goodbye? I mean, we know Jean Delancey will be back in the 3rd season of Star Trek Picard. Perhaps flashbacks. So now, with the return to the 25th century, we finally see what happened to the Borg Queen, all the way in episode 1. It is Jurati, and she is the Borg Queen. Even the playing of a French song, which I originally believed was Q, and Jurati telling Picard to look up, were an effort to relieve Picard of his tension and allow the Borg Queen to get command of the fleet for a good reason. Obviously, we have a lot of questions about this new Borg Collective. Whether it's a subset of the Borg Collective, or is this what's been going on for the past 400 years? With the last Serena, it should have only taken around 70 years maybe to get from Earth to Borg space. We've also got the questions of what's actually next. This galactic level event, which is prevented by the Borg and Starfleet, does remain a mystery. What actually is it, and where does it go? As revealed, it does appear to be some sort of transwarp conduit, aka a very fast way of travelling across vast distances of space. However, the only Borg that have been using it so far is the Borg Collective. Other species have used them here and there, but mainly it's just the Borg who actually build them. Clearly this transwarp conduit is a plot device for the upcoming Season 3, so we'll have some interesting theorising what's going on with that. I got a fair few theories of what this might be, or who or might what be behind it on the other side, but we'll come back to that at a later date. Though, if you have a theory, comment it down below. Just as we were talking about last episode, with Seven not being a first allowed in the Starfleet, she gave up instead of fighting it. Picard actually gives her a field commission and places her in command of the Stargazer. This was actually amazing. Captaining a ship which has Borg technology recovering the artifact is great. Only Seven could do it. Hopefully this war continues into the 3rd season, because we know we're getting more Stargazer content, and unfortunately that is not of Captain Chris Rios. But I'm more than happy with Captain 7. Elnor also comes back, seemingly as a gift from the excess energy Q has from not needing to transport Rios into the future. I'm disappointed that Elnor didn't feature more heavily in this season, but I enjoyed what we got of him. And now we're back in the present, Starfleet Cadet Elnor interests me more than the past Elnor does. So hopefully we get some more good stuff of him in the upcoming 3rd season. I'm going to say that quite a lot. What is really nice is that the Excelsior shield harmonics are off for the big Starfleet shield ship scene. That's a mouthful. And it's Elnor who actually fixes it, and it's Raffi who taught Elnor how to do such a thing in the flashback during episode 8, which is a very nice scene to see. Now that Picard has finally accepted what happened in the past, he goes to Laris, who has had the Solarium fixed. This is such a nice touch as well, as the Solarium was also being representative of Picard being stuck in the past, i.e. not having fixed it, and now it's fixed and he can move past it. You know, there's also like a visual message here. At the start of the episode it's broken, and then at the end it's fixed. While that's obviously explained, it's just a nice little bit of detail, you know? Picard can finally let himself be loved, and asks for a second chance on Laris, who accepts. Either they get engaged quickly, or to see another small time jump into Season 3. As on the teaser trailer for Picard Season 3, it does look like Jean-Luc is writing wedding invites. We definitely have a lot to look forward to next season, and I'm all for it. So, time for our final thoughts on Star Trek Picard Season 2. While the season has been somewhat hard watch for some, overall, it has been enjoyable. Yes, it has been awkward at certain times, but when we reach this episode, things do feel complete in a sense. It is self-contained. Well, almost. We have got his tease for what's next in the overall series of Picard, but that's for another day really. I think overall this season has done a really good job at a deep character study of Jean-Luc Picard. That's what Star Trek Picard is all about when you think about it. The series from the get-go is all about taking a look at the life of Jean-Luc and understanding the character deeper. How that play going into the 3rd season does remain to be seen. However, it would seem like Picard has a new lease of life. Personally, I still think the season dragged on a bit. However, perhaps if we watch the whole season as a mini-movie in a sense, then maybe it'll correct itself and feel more like it flows better. Who knows? When we do our full Season 2 review later on, we'll see how it goes. For now, I think we can enjoy some of the highlights of the 2nd season, as there is a lot. One of my complaints for the 2nd season is we said goodbye to some of our cast. This had to be expected at some point in time. However, Rios does have a good ending, if not a sad one. Jurati's ending does make sense, and you think that perhaps we'd see her in the 3rd season. However, actress Alison Pill recently confirmed she was not going to be in the upcoming season. How this leaves the Borg and the Guardian at the Gate situation is something we'll come back to at a later date. Right now, Picard Season 2 is done and done. Trekkie's turn their focus onto the next step into the Star Trek universe, that being Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is airing the same day as Star Trek Picard Season 2 final. You can watch both on Paramount Plus right now. Oh, and did you actually know Paramount Plus is finally, and I mean finally, coming to the UK on June 22nd, 2022. A bunch of other regions have also been announced, so hopefully going forward we can finally all watch Star Trek in the same place on the same day. Ah, you love to finally see it, don't you? So what did you think of Star Trek Picard Season 2 Episode 10? Did the final episode live up to your expectations, or did it fall short? Regardless, let us know what you think in the video comment section below. Because if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. If you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, and it's been a pleasure bringing the Star Trek Picard Season 2 reviews to you. We'll see you very soon. Live long and prosper, my friends. Goodbye.